Okay, here we go again. I think it's working now. Um, if anybody's here, then great. If not, I guess I'm just going to talk to myself. If you want to chat with me about anything that's going on in the world right now, I'm happy to talk about it. That's why I'm here. I see a lot of, should we wait for Roger Marshall? I don't know. He's probably going to be here any minute, I'm pretty sure. I thought we'll start talking about immigration. If anybody wants to learn about immigration, I don't know what people know about it already. I've practiced immigration law for some time now. I'm no longer practicing at the current time because I'm starting another venture. I'm testing the waters to run for Senate because after my Oakley Town Hall, where I realized that our representatives have no interest in listening to us, I realized that they're not there for the right reasons, and I don't like that. And nothing makes me more mad, actually, than people utilizing our public offices just to line their own pockets and for their own personal gain. So I decided that I would test the waters to run for Senate, and that's part of what I'm doing. So like I said just a minute ago, I don't know who was here for it and who wasn't. I was going to start off talking about immigration. I have practiced immigration law for some time. Many of you probably know that. Many of you probably don't. First of all, there's a lot of misinformation going around right now. I asked Senator Marshall, let me know if you guys can't hear me or anything. I asked Senator Marshall what he is going to do, and I think there's a video of it from the town hall in Oakley. What is he going to do to bring us all together, to get all of us back on the same page again? Because this misinformation, as he calls it, this misinformation, I might call it just lies for some of them, it's really divided our country a lot. It's torn my family apart. I know that, and I've been part of that problem. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of the way that I've acted over the past however many years. I have made fun of people. I have called people dumb. And then I realized at the first debate, actually, when Joe Biden just, he couldn't string a sentence together. He probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. I realized that I had been lied to, too. And I thought, wow, if I had been lied to and misled, well, maybe everybody else has too. So I thought, well, let's start talking to each other instead of talking at each other and yelling at each other. So part of what I want to do here is talk about things so we can figure these things out for ourselves, because our elected officials seem to have no concern about any of us, honestly. They don't care about the country. They don't care about reuniting us. They don't care about what's happening in the White House right now. Some of you may think that it's not a big deal. I will tell you that as a historian, someone who's extensively studied history, I find it terrifying what's going on right now. And I think everybody should, actually. And I know people say, well, we'll vote again, but being a part of this democracy is more than just voting. You have to voice your opinions. You have to tell your representatives what you think. And if they're not going to listen to us, well, how are we supposed to tell them? So let's start talking about immigration. Everybody's probably seen what's been going on with the recent court case, Judge Boasberg. And let me just start off by saying nothing in this live stream should be considered legal advice. Seek an attorney for any help that you need. Every single case is very nuanced, is very different. I do extensive research on every single case. None of them is cut and dry. So make sure that if you need legal help, this is not where you're getting it. You're not getting it from this live stream. You're welcome to reach out to me and I can put you in touch with somebody that can help. But please do not take anything in this live stream as legal advice. So the people that were sent to Venezuela, no, they were sent to El Salvador. They were mostly Venezuelans, is my understanding. The White House has told us that they have no criminal record. And the White House would like us to think that because they have no criminal record, they're actually worse criminals than those with criminal records. So I ask you, I have no criminal record. Does that make me a terrible criminal? I don't think so. I do know that they use their tattoos to target them. And I will tell you that tattoos are very significant in immigration law. I've seen a lot of attorneys. I haven't done it myself. I've not had that experience. But I have seen a lot of attorneys talk about tattoos, and they make their clients explain those tattoos because they can be questionable. They can have ties to gangs. And the attorneys, probably won't be able to help you if that's the case. Maybe they can. I don't know. Like I said, I've not done it. But I know that I read that some of those tattoos were the names of their children or the time that they were born, that their children were born. And so this is part of what I'm talking about. We're being lied to. They are lying to the American people. Some of those people were not criminals. We know that. Whether they had a legal status in this country or not, I don't know. But that's the whole point of having a trial and a hearing. And Judge Boasberg, who everyone wanted to be so mad at for, they thought, overstepping, was simply doing his check on the executive power, which is what his job is. He has to do that. If we lose that, then we have judge, jury, and executioner all rolled into one, and that's not good for anybody in this country. Not now, not ever. We wouldn't want Joe Biden to do it. We wouldn't want the Clintons to do it, and we don't want Donald Trump to do it either. So that's part of that. I do know that I saw earlier today that there was actually a female on that plane to El Salvador, and El Salvador at least had the wherewithal to say, no, you're not sending her here. You have to take her back. So I did see that, which is horrific. I mean, if you saw the treatment of it, you saw the video, and the rejoicing in the treatment of these people is where we're really starting to get off the rails. It's scary. I know you're not seeing it maybe you're not paying attention, maybe you don't have time to pay attention. But if you don't start paying attention now, it's going to be too late by the time you do. So let's talk about what keeps a person from coming to the United States. Well, we have all kinds of things that would make them what we call inadmissible, okay? There are communicable diseases that could affect the public health. They can't come if they have them. One example that's relevant recently is tuberculosis. If they have an active tuberculosis, they probably can't come in. A lot of other countries vaccinate against tuberculosis. Now, Senator Marshall would have you believe that it's the quote-unquote undocumented or quote-unquote illegal immigrants that are the problem with diseases. But I would tell you, look at those countries and see their vaccine schedules. I know in India, at least, they will find you if you do not vaccinate your child when they are born. So I am guessing that the other countries, too, have pretty stringent vaccine schedules, maybe even more stringent than ours. So let's stop blaming immigrants for things, okay? I mean, criminals are criminals. I don't care what their legal status is. They need to be prosecuted and put in jail no matter where they came from or how they're here, whether they're U.S. citizens or not, whether they're white or not white. I don't care. Put criminals in jail. That's fine. Nobody has a problem putting criminals in jail. Nobody has a problem deporting criminals. All we're saying is that they need a trial. And if Judge Boasberg says, turn the flight around, well, you need to turn the flight around, because any one of us that went against a judge's order, I promise you, we're not going to be given the leniency that the DOJ has gotten thus far. So shame on them. What else? Mental disorders that that are associated with harmful behavior can keep them out. Failure to just provide their vaccine records. I know sometimes I have clients that can't find their vaccine records because they're so old that they just didn't keep up with them. They know they're vaccinated for all these things, but they don't know, they can't get a copy of their records. So then they have to go and take the vaccines all over again. I've had clients that have tested positive because they get a tuberculosis test. Oh, I don't know what I did. They get a tuberculosis test done, and the vaccine actually causes them to have a positive test. And then they have to go for an x-ray to confirm that they don't have tuberculosis. Or they have to start a treatment process if that doesn't pan out for them. So there's a lot of protections in place already, especially just for health-wise, for making sure that the public is not negatively affected by immigrants that come here. Now, this is obviously the legal process that I'm talking about, but you still have to consider that even undocumented immigrants, a lot of them are going to probably have been vaccinated as well. Let's talk about economic grounds. A lot of people want to say, well, I don't want them here because they're a drain on our system. In order to apply to come to the United States, you have to prove that you can support yourself or that you will be supported. So if a U.S. citizen wants to file for their spouse, that U.S. citizen has to file what's called an affidavit of support. And it's a contract with the government and the immigrant that you will make sure that they are supported within a certain amount of the poverty line. If they ever apply for public benefits, the government can come after the U.S. citizen that has filed it to get reimbursed for that or to make them pay for that. So they're not actually a drain on the system. Even undocumented immigrants who don't have Social Security numbers, even if they're working without authorization, which they're not supposed to do, and you can get barred for doing that. So I do not recommend that to anyone. But even they pay taxes into our system. And I think if you do the research, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you do the research, you'll find out that they actually pay a lot more in. They pay into Social Security. They pay into Medicare and Medicaid. They pay into our systems. And odds are they're never going to pull out of that. They're never going to get it, especially if they can never become a permanent resident or find a legal path to citizenship. They're never going to qualify for it. So they're pouring money into our system, and they don't get, as far as I know, they can't pull out of it. So that they're a drain on the system, it's just not true. It's just them lying to us. So that's the affidavit of support. What else? Criminal grounds of inadmissibility. Crimes involving moral turpitude is what they call it. What does that mean? Well, it's really bad, really inherently bad conduct. So if you commit murder, if you commit assault with a dangerous weapon, a carjacking, child pornography possession, you're banned from coming. You're not going to get in. Let's see. And this is not an exhaustive list. There's a lot of other grounds of inadmissibility. There are moral grounds of inadmissibility. You cannot be coming to practice polygamy. You cannot be coming to perform immoral sex acts, whatever that is. Fraud and misrepresentation. If you lie in order to get an immigration benefit, you will be inadmissible. They call it, for legal immigration, they have something, they term it a sham marriage, right? So if you marry just for the purpose of getting an immigration benefit, well, you can be prosecuted for that. And then the person that's entered the marriage for the benefit, they're probably going to end up in deportation proceedings as well. You can't come in if you can't prove who you are. If you don't have a valid passport, you're not going to be able to come in legally. Let's see, what else? Obviously, for security-related grounds, if you're a terrorist, you can't come. If you're going to engage in espionage, you can't come. Nazis are not allowed in our country. Anyone that has been a part of a totalitarian party is not allowed to come. And there's many, many more. I don't know if you have questions about that, I'm happy to go into it more or send you into places that you can research it. I would encourage everyone, let's see, can't find it, hang on, somebody's trying to get on. Let me see if I can figure out how to get him here. Can you guys find it okay? Did everybody find it? Because he's saying he can't find it. Okay, I hope that worked, Scott. Okay. Let's talk about some of the other forms of legal immigration. There's employment-based and there's family-based. If you type into your toolbar, and I'll try to post these links afterwards. My computer, I couldn't get the camera to work, so I'm having to use my phone. But I have links to these sites that I'm going to reference. So I'll put them in the chat after somehow. Let's see. But if you go to the USCIS website, you can actually take a little quiz and see if you could qualify to come to the United States. You can go to, it's called Explore Your Option on the USCIS.gov website. And I'd encourage you all to go on there and see, you know, obviously don't put in I'm a U.S. citizen because, yes, you qualify to be here. But make up another country, make up another story. See if you would qualify just as yourself in another country. Because most of us probably would not. Let's see. Maybe I can just share it. I don't know. Anyway, someone is trying to get on and I don't know how to get them on. Okay, so there's something called the Visa Bulletin, and you can Google that too, and that's another one that I can link after we're done here. But if you go to the Visa Bulletin website, you'll see what's called priority dates. And the priority date tells you when you can apply for your permanent residency. So right now, the bulletin, okay, good, you made it, Scott. If you applied for your, let's see, first of all, for immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, there's always a visa for them. But if you applied for, let's see, F1, if you applied for your unmarried son or daughter and you're a U.S. citizen and you're from Mexico, right, or your son or daughter's in Mexico, if you got in line November 22nd of 2004, you are now eligible for your permanent residency. And it's still going to take another 6 months to a year to process, at least. So these backlogs are insane. So everyone who tells you we'll just do it the right way, just come legally, there may not be any possible options. Now, does that mean that they should come illegally? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're going to have to look at the circumstances of each individual. Some people are fleeing violence and persecution. And, you know, as a Christian, I have to say that we are supposed to help those people. But I guess, you know, reasonable minds can disagree about whether they should be allowed in or not. Now let's talk about employment-based cases. So this is again on the Visa Bulletin, and I'll share this when I'm done here. If you go to the Visa Bulletin, you will see first, second, third, and then some other categories. The first category is the most up-to-date. For the most part, that's going to be the top of the top that's coming in. Those are the Nobel Prize winners. These are going to be few and far between. You're not going to have many of them. You don't have to have a sponsor for that. If you look at the EB2 and the EB3, these are, so the EB2, they're exceptional workers or workers with an advanced degree. If you got in line, if you're from India and you are an exceptional worker, one with an advanced degree, you qualify, you're very, very qualified to be here. If you got in line on December 1st, 2012, you are now able to file to become a permanent resident. And if you got in line then and you remained in the country since then, you actually have to keep up your status the entire time. You cannot have a gap in your status, which means probably you're going to have an employer file a new H-1B for you every few years. They only last, I think the original is for 6 years, and then you can renew them for 3 years, and at some point I think it even turns into 1 year, but I'd have to confirm that. But the point is, it's not easy to come to this country. Immigrants that come to this country work very hard to get here, whether they come undocumented or documented. Now, I know people that are very angry with the undocumenteds in the country, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I'm not going to talk about that right now. But I will say this. Even if we are going to remove them from our country, we need to make sure we are doing so within the bounds of human decency. And that is not what this administration is trying to do. How do I know that? Well, I will tell you that several weeks back, they took a group of undocumented Indian immigrants, and I don't think many people heard about this. They took a group of them. This would have been men, women, and children, and they shackled together those over 18. I believe the men and the women were all shackled, and put on a military plane, and for 40 hours they remained shackled together. Now, you tell me, if you are sitting on a plane like that, shackled together, and you've never committed a crime other than existing in a place that you're not supposed to exist in, apparently, your child is sitting next to you, and you're shackled together, and they only take one shackle off for you to even go to the washroom, to the bathroom. Tell me how that's not unconscionable. Tell me how that's not maltreatment of a person. And then, of course, we saw what happened with the Venezuelans that were sent to El Salvador. If you didn't see the video, there is video of it. They were treated very badly. There's a write-up in Time magazine from a reporter who was there. And it just seems to me that this administration is towing the line of desensitizing us to treatment of people that we wouldn't otherwise be okay with. This is how it started, and I know I've said this before, and I know people don't like to hear it. They don't like to hear if you start talking about Nazi Germany. They shut down. They get mad. But truly, this is how it started. And that's very scary, because where is it going to stop? Let's see, what else? We talked about the tattoos, and that they don't have a criminal record. The people that were sent to El Salvador in the White House said they don't have a criminal record. And that means, to the White House, they wanted us to believe that meant that they are worse criminals than the rest of us. But I would say to you, if you don't have a criminal record, does that make you a worse criminal than everyone else? I doubt it. But the point is, even if they needed to be, let's see if I can do this. Is this okay? Okay. Even if they needed to be removed, I can't turn my phone when I'm up. Well, I just did. Does that work? Am I upside down? Whatever. Okay, I'm just going to have to hold it. Even if they have to remove them, the judge ordered them to be here. They deserve a trial. They deserve a fair hearing. They deserve due process, just like any of us would want. They're talking about the Alien Enemies Act, and I don't know how much you know about the Alien Enemies Act. I didn't know that much about it. I know that most of us probably know that in World War II, it was used to intern Japanese citizens or descendants of Japanese people. That's probably the most famous time it's ever been used. I did do some research on it, and I will put the link again to where I found this information in the comments or somewhere on my page where people can find it, or I'll put it in the event. That'll be an easy place to find it, I think. So the Alien Enemies Act, before now, has been used 3 times in history. During the War of 1812, during World War I, and during World War II. When can it be invoked? Well, there's only 2 situations in which the Alien Enemies Act, according to the Act itself, can be invoked. One is if we are at war, if Congress has declared war. Now, if you look at the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, you will see that the power to declare war is granted in Congress, not the president. The president cannot declare war under our Constitution. The other time that it can be invoked is when a foreign government threatens or undertakes an invasion or quote-unquote predatory incursion against a U.S. territory. Now, this current administration is trying to use this act to go after who they are calling gang members or people with ties to terrorist organizations. That, to me, is not a foreign government invading our country. To me, it seems out of line. I guess the courts will tell us, but we have to have respect for the courts in order for them to do that. And this administration now is trying to go after the courts and delegitimize them. I will tell you, the courts right now are the only thing that are holding the line against this administration. Let's see. So the War of 1812, it was used. James Madison used it then against British nationals who were residing in the United States. And then again in World War I and World War II it was used. The act itself, too, this is important to know, actually provides for judicial review. It says that the courts need to have the power to review it. Lower courts during World War II, they took a narrow approach when they used it. So they do give deference to the executive branch, but they still have the right to assure that it's being used within the confines of the law. Let's see. So the bottom line, Alien Enemies Act, even the President of the United States is subject to judicial review. Now, I've seen people tell me, they've given me the arguments that the Department of Justice is making. That does not make it law, okay? That is the government making its case to the court. Just like if you're tried for something, let's say you're charged with stealing, right? The government, the state, is going to present their case against you. You are going to be able to defend yourself. And that is what the DOJ's argument is. It is just their argument. It is for the judge to decide whether they're right or wrong. Now, if the judge decides they're right, we have to live with that and we have to accept that whether we like it or not. But you have to give the judge at least the amount of respect that they deserve under our Constitution. Even Al Gore, in his concession speech when he lost to George Bush, he said, I don't agree with this decision, but it's the decision of the Supreme Court of the United States, and I have to respect it, and so I have to let this go. So the point is, the executive branch is not autonomous. It works in congruence with the judicial branch and the legislative branch. Without the three, we don't have our freedom anymore. We're beholden to whoever is sitting at the top of the executive branch. And I don't know about any of you, but I have no interest in anyone having that much power, no matter who they are. So there's no questions about that, and I don't think anyone's asking any questions because I don't see comments. I don't know if I would or not, but anyway, let's talk about Ukraine and Russia. I don't know how everyone feels about this. I've been talking with some people who are very, anti our involvement in Ukraine. I think that reasonable minds can probably disagree on that, so I'm not going to argue over whether we should continue to send supplies to Ukraine or not. What I will say is this. Russia has never been our friend. During the Cold War, and I remember at one point, though my friend tells me maybe it wasn't us, it was just our parents, we had duck and cover drills where we had to get on our desks in case we were attacked by Russia with a nuclear bomb. And I'm no military person. I'm an attorney. I've studied history. But I would say that most of us, at least most of the people that I know, have a lot of respect for General Patton. And he said that we should have gone all the way to Moscow. So us cozying up to Russia in any way, shape, or form gives me a lot of concern just because of the history there. George Patton saw the USSR as a threat to Western democracy and capitalism and to American supremacy. Russia is rejoicing in what's going on in our country right now. I don't know if people see that or not, but I've seen clips of, government people in Russia celebrating what we are doing. And they want us to argue with each other. They want us to fight with each other. They want us to call each other stupid. They want Republicans. They want, MAGA to say that they're going to drink our liberal tears or whatever. And just for the record, I never considered myself a liberal until Donald Trump went into office. And even then I didn't. I just felt like I had to choose a side because the alternative was just so far beyond my grasp of what we could do in this country, or what we would or should do in this country, that I could not stand by that anymore. So there's that. But okay, so Ukraine. And Senator Marshall talked about Ukraine, right? When we were at the Oakley Town Hall, he touched on it briefly. And I would have asked him if he would have been open to, speaking to any of his voters. I would have asked him, okay, maybe we shouldn't continue sending support to Ukraine. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we've sent too much. Maybe we can't afford it. Maybe that's all true, okay? That's above my head. I don't know. But I'll say it's not right for us to try to force Ukraine to give us mineral rights in order to pay us back when they were the victim of an aggressor country. The Ukraine did not have a say in this war, and they should not have to pay for the war. You would not request that a murder victim's family pay the court costs associated with prosecuting the murderer. That's unconscionable. That's crazy. And it's also crazy to ask Ukraine to pay us back for the same thing. That's my opinion. I guess if someone has another opinion, I'm happy to hear it. But that's my 2 cents on that. Okay, that's all I have for Ukraine. Oh, one more thing for Ukraine, because I had a lot of people upset with me that my profile photo was a Ukraine with the colors, and I had that for quite a while to support Ukraine. I remember 9/11, and I remember the world. There would be, I think the Eiffel Tower, was lit up red, white, and blue. There were people around the world that were supporting us, and as an American, that meant so much to me. Because my country was hurting, and to know that the world was watching and the world cared, it was nice. It was good. So my profile photo to support Ukrainian people, I don't see how there's any issue with that. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anyways, I'm done with Ukraine unless anyone else has something they want to say about it. The next thing I want to talk about, I've seen quite a few on the right talk about, well, we're not really a democracy, we're a republic. And we are a republic. I agree. 100% agree with you. The United States is a republic. It is a democratic republic, though. What does that mean? Well, it's clear that our founding fathers meant for the people, we the people, to have the say in our government. We run it. It is for us and by us. It's not for The people elected to Congress and by them. It's not for the president and by him. It is by and for the people. So that would tell us that they wanted us to have the say in the government. Well, that's what a democracy is. It's a representative form of government. Yes, we are a republic. We're a democratic republic. So if we're not a democratic republic, if we're not a representative government, then what's left? Well, I did a little research on that, and I've got a link for that too. And I will tell you, the other options don't sound good to me at all. They are definitely not what our founding fathers meant for us to have when they established this country. And I don't think any of us will want this. So obviously one is a monarchy. Yeah, no, obviously no one wants that. We fought against that. We said, no, we're not doing that. The next one is a dictatorship. One person runs everything. There's one person in charge. Nobody else gets a say. I would argue that that's maybe what the current administration wants, but I don't know. I can speculate. I can say based on what I see, but that's all I know. An oligarchy, which is clearly what some people at the top would like. They're trying to buy our government. They may have already done it. I don't know. I don't know how far down we are at this point. But the government here is not meant. The United States does not belong to rich people, okay? The United States belongs to each and every one of us. Senator Marshall's opinions matter only as much as mine and as much as any other Kansan. Donald Trump's opinions matter as much as mine and any of yours. He's there to represent us, not to work for himself. And Elon Musk is not there for any of us. The other option is a theocracy, which is, run by one religion. I don't think any of us want that. I will tell you that I know that the founding fathers did not want that because they wrote it in our Bill of Rights. Freedom of religion. We have freedom of religion here. So I'm sorry if you do not like other religions. There are other religions that probably don't like yours. But that's the beauty of the country. We can all practice what we want, when we want, how we want, as long as we don't break any laws when we're doing it. And then the other option is where one party just runs everything, which maybe both political parties would like that. I don't want that. Because there are things that I disagree with both political parties, and that's always ripe for corruption if you're going to have one group, one faction in charge of everything. Okay, so that's that part. Next, I was going to talk about Doge and Elon. I've seen a lot of people that have told me, my problem with Elon is, number one, nobody has had a say in what Elon's doing. There's no congressional oversight to what he's doing. And I don't even think he knows what he's doing, to be honest with you. He seems really like you let a kid go in a china shop or something and just said, do whatever you want. It's fine. We'll pay for it all afterwards. We'll figure it out afterwards. What he's doing is not helping anyone. It's not serving any of us. Whoever thinks that Elon Musk is just performing philanthropy doesn't know Elon Musk. He's never done anything out of the good of his heart, okay? As far as I know, he's never done anything out of the good of his heart. Maybe rescuing those... Did he rescue the divers that were trapped or some kids trapped? Maybe that one? Maybe not. I have to see. But I guarantee you that he's not there just for us, just for the good of us, okay? Now, I can tell you that I have not met one single person, Democrat or Republican or otherwise, who is opposed to assuring that our tax dollars are spent properly. What people are opposed to is an unelected individual going in and having carte blanche access to whatever he wants, however he wants, doing whatever he wants. And we don't know what he does. Now, I'm not a computer person, but I know a lot of computer people, some very smart people. And they have told me that whatever he has done, whatever he wanted to do, he's already done it. And it will take a forensic analyst to figure it out. They will have to comb through all of the code to figure out what exactly he's done. Now, what that means is way above my head. I don't purport to know it. I won't pretend to know it. But it does give me a lot of concern. So that's fine. We can cut waste. That's fine. The fraud that they're claiming is not fraud. As far as I've been able to tell, it's just spending that they don't like. That's not fraud. That means, hey, we don't want to spend this. Okay, so let's not spend it. Let's fix it. That's fine. But let's stop pretending that it's something that it's not. The next concern that I have with Elon Musk is that he's not even gone through the proper channels to be a member of the cabinet. Donald Trump easily could have had him as an advisor. He could have gone through Congress. Congress could have questioned him and had the opportunity to say whether he can be a member of the cabinet or not. It doesn't seem like Congress will stop Donald Trump from putting anyone he wants in place. So my question is, why not just do that? Now, I had a fella today tell me that he was given top secret security clearance. So he has the highest level of security clearance is what they wanted to tell me. And that was supposed to have been done under Biden because of, I guess, some SpaceX stuff. My concern there is that that security clearance would have been narrowly tailored to whatever it was that Elon Musk needed in order to accomplish what Elon Musk was supposed to accomplish with SpaceX. It wouldn't have been for military secrets. We saw him going into the Pentagon. Why is he going into the Pentagon? Why are they talking about briefing him on war with China? Elon Musk has an interest in the conflicts of interest that Elon Musk has in what he is doing are on levels that I can't even begin to describe. He's gained access to his competitors' information. He's got manufacturing sites in China, as far as I know. I asked Senator Marshall, well, how was Elon Musk vetted? And Senator Marshall told me as much as every other government employee. So I would ask you, would you want every other government employee having as much power and control as what Elon Musk seems to have right now? I know my answer. I would also like to ask, and I did ask Lindsey Graham this, but of course they don't respond. I don't know. I'm still waiting on Senator Marshall to get on the call right now. But I asked him, because Lindsey Graham's been in Congress since 2003. So if all of this waste and fraud has been occurring all these years, well, what the hell have you been doing all this time? Why hasn't Congress done something about it? I think we know the answer. They're just lying to us. They're lying to us. All right. That's something else that I wanted to say. I don't know what people are seeing that I'm not seeing. I don't know what the people that support this are seeing that I'm not seeing. I would love to know. If you do support it, I would love to talk to you about it. I don't want to talk at people. I want to have a conversation with people. Our country is not in a good place right now. It's the most divided I've ever seen us. I remember a time, and I'll tell you, I've voted for Democrats and I've voted for Republicans. I've probably voted for Republicans more than I voted for Democrats because I was raised Republican and I thought I was Republican for a good long time. And like I said, until Donald Trump, that's probably what I related to most, I guess. Now I've learned a lot and changed a lot over the years. But I'm encouraging everyone to step outside of your bubble. Start looking at news that you maybe wouldn't normally look at. Because there are good people that support this administration. And I really, really think, because I was lied to, because I've been misled, because I've seen articles where I've gotten angry, I've read the headline and I've gotten pissed off, just livid. And then I go and I read the article, and it's not at all what the headline indicated it was. So I think that's happening to a lot of us. And I don't know how to get us on the same page if we're not even willing to talk and listen to each other. When I was at that Oakley town hall, after Senator Marshall left 37 minutes in, sorry, my mother-in-law just walked in and now I'm distracted. When I was at the Oakley town hall and he left after 37 minutes, this being after he had a 2-day retreat for his wealthy donors in Florida. He promised us an hour. I got up at 2:40 in the morning to go and see him, and he leaves after 37 minutes. So clearly we're not as important as his donors. But I sat there with a man for about 45 minutes afterwards, and he's a Trump supporter, and we just had a conversation. We just talked. And I told him about how the immigrants had been treated when they were being sent home, and he didn't like it. He didn't know about it, but he didn't like it. And I talked about Elon Musk's Nazi salute. And let's just stop pretending that's not what it was, because that is what it was. Anyone pretending it's not, just, I don't know how to talk to those people. It's not reasonable. We've got to stop hating each other, though. The point is, we've got to stop hating each other. He didn't like the Elon Musk salute. He doesn't want anything to do with Nazis. And I don't think most Republicans do. I don't think most people on the right do. And I know people on the left don't. And we do this what about thing, right? This, oh, well, why weren't you mad about this? Why aren't you mad about what happened tragically to the victims, Laken Riley, for example? And I hate to bring up people, but her name's been used a lot. I'm very mad about that. There is no place in this society for people that act like that, whether they are immigrants or not, whether they are here legally or not. If they are criminals and they do such a thing, put them in jail immediately. Try them and put them away. Zero sympathy for those people. We can think that immigrants are good. We can be okay with immigrants being here, and we cannot be okay with criminals at the same time. What this administration is trying to do is other immigrants and the LGBTQ community, specifically trans people. I don't know why there is so much hate towards those people. I don't understand it at all. I would love to understand and help you understand if you are one of those people that feels that way. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out together. I encourage all of you to talk to the extent that you can. I know there's a lot of anger right now. There's a lot of rage. There's a lot of not wanting to associate with the other side by both sides. But the thing is, we're not one side or the other. We are all American. We all love this country. We are all patriots. It's not monopolized. The right doesn't have a monopoly on patriotism. The left doesn't have a monopoly on patriotism, okay? What we have is media using 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 us for clickbait and not reporting as honestly as they should. Back in the 80s, we had what was called the Fairness in Reporting Doctrine, and I am encouraging everyone to contact your representatives and your senators and tell them, hey, we need to bring that back. Because the American people can't properly govern ourselves unless we're properly informed. And I would also like to see accountability for all lawmakers or people running for office, any elected officials, any appointed officials who mislead the American people. What that looks like, I don't know. But I know that we cannot continue like this. We're in a very dire situation at this point in time. And we have to find a way to come together. Our enemies would see us divided. Russia is known for these campaigns of disinformation and tearing people apart and dividing countries and interfering in elections. We know that. Russia is not our friend. And we have to find some way, and I think everybody on this live stream is just probably agrees with me. I don't know for sure, but we have to find a way to reach the other people. We have to find a way to find information that's true. We have to all get on the same page again. And I don't know how we do that if we don't start talking to each other. So I'm going to encourage everybody, try to start talking, try to start listening, hear them, hear your friends, hear your neighbors. Let's figure out where our disconnect is happening, and let's get back together, because the United States is not going to last if we don't come back together. I can promise you that. I do know that. So that's it. I'll just leave it with that unless somebody has something else they want to talk about. Thanks for coming. Sorry I was not that good at it. I will do another one sometime if people would like and talk about whatever people want to talk about. I just want us all to figure this out together. And I think if we start doing the research and we start talking to each other, I think we come back together. I think we're not that far off, and we're certainly not as different as the powers that be would have us believe. So, anyways, I will let you all go. Have a good night. Thanks so much.